Just to kind of give you an update, I reached out to John last week, just checking on him and his wife. Said they did the lumpectomy. Said she had an oncology appointment this week. Said she's going to end up having to do radiation, but outlook right now is good. She's going to have to endure some painful treatments and 5 years of tamoxifen. I guess it's one of the drugs or whatever they're going to put her on. So said they're optimistic. So just giving you a little update.
Oh, good. Good. I'm good to hear. Good to hear. So the little record guy, where did he go? I thought I did it.
I didn't see him pop up.
Now recording.
Welcome to the show, Craig.
That's worked out really well, surprisingly. All right, let's jump to it. Go three, two. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brad Wren.
Perhaps Talladega was not the best follow up to a miserable Mosport 4 hours.
Nope. And that's it. On today's show, a major update from Premier Racing Setups. The 5 worst cars in iRacing. Do you know what Spark is? 2026 Season 2 Patch 3 release notes. Teflon sliders. Happy Haptics is the Evo Ultra Overkill. A big update for the Sim Gaming Expo, and Kimmy knows. Do you?
That's right, Mike. And remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
All right, topics. First one was an update on trading paints, bro.
Yep. So we got the, as we talked about a few weeks ago, the DTM series is coming to iRacing, and this is following the actual calendar. I think these are just Thursday races, if memory serves me. But the Trading Paints and iRacing have worked together and released the official DTM liveries on Trading Paints. So all the current paints are available to use as the DTM series kicks off this week at iRacing, and I think they're at Red Bull Ring, if memory serves me correctly.
So that begs the question, what other racing series do we have all the official paints in trading paints like to pick from, like as a collection?
Uh, Probably got most of the NASCAR stuff, I would guess. I guess it's probably mostly IMSA.
Unofficially.
Yeah, unofficially. So, yeah, this is. I can't ever remember seeing iRacing, basically endorsing official paints. So that's kind of a first.
Right? Legally, the way the system is set up. I mean, for our new people to iRacing, tell us, Brad, why do we have to use trading paints? Why can't we just load these paints directly to iRacing?
Oh, there's copyright infringements and all that stuff. So iRacing itself is only going to use licensed sponsors. So like when you go in the paint booth, all those sponsors that are in there are licensed to with iRacing in order to be on the cars. So Trading Paints was created many, many, many years ago to give painters an opportunity to be able to share your artwork and stuff like that. So if we go way back in the day, there was no trading paints. So like when in the NR 2003 days, you could do custom paints, but you had to have them loaded on. So like I can remember as a league running a league, every week we would have it updated. Uh, paint scheme pack that everybody would have to download, to make sure everybody had the proper paint schemes for that race. So, but with trading paints, you can load it up there in multiple cars, so all kinds of stuff you can do with trading paints. But yeah, it kind of takes I guess the legality somewhat out of iRacing's hands and puts it into trading paints, maybe.
Right. And you got to wonder if they haven't been challenged in all these years. It seems like that we know of anyway, by anybody on it. So,
Yeah,
right,
I mean, again, it's one of those things it's I don't know. I guess some of these I guess could be considered flattery, and hey, it's somewhat free advertising for some companies.
right, gotcha. Next up, Kimi Antonelli posted up what he's been doing in, I guess their impromptu off season in the middle of their season. He's on iRacing. It shows him on a Formula style cockpit, Formula wheel there, as well as a widescreen monitor. Um, and of course, what does he have on the screen? The iRacing, UI. He's out there looking for the next event to run. So yeah, have you seen Kimi on track yet, Brad?
I haven't, but I'm looking at this picture, and I'm pretty sure that looks like the SimLabs Mercedes wheel.
Well, he does know somebody over there.
I bet you knows a few people. So speaking of knowing people, we got a post here from the iRacing community. It's a little UI help. So with the new widgets, we've got there's the widget where they added the brake trace, throttle trace to the inputs, and we had a post from Pierre Todaro. Says, how can I stretch the telemetry input bar like this without changing the zoom percentage? So one of the people on here chimed in, says when you edit the UI, click on the widgets and then on the input graph, and on the right you'll have some settings that you can change the duration. So yeah, a lot of this stuff, and I think in the last update you can actually change the duration to where it'll last longer. So if you haven't played around with the UI, if you when you go into the UI, like if you get in the car and you click up on the little button that says edit UI, each of there's a box you can check to where it'll show all the components. So all of the widgets will pop up. And then the easiest thing I've found is instead of trying to go through the little list and find stuff, if you look at each widget, there'll be a little, you got the little gear for the settings. You can click on that and it allows you to make changes to each of those widgets, whether it's adding information, changing the size, like with the inputs here, I guess you can change the duration. So lots of stuff that you can make changes to the UI. And the one thing that's nice is you can save those per car, and you could even save custom settings. So say you and I don't know your buddy, both of y'all drive the same car, and you've come up with a good setup for your UI. You can actually save that, share it with him, and then he can load that in. He would have the same setup that you've got.
Ooh, I didn't know that part. Yeah, I think what I learned about this is when you initially go in and turn on all this widget stuff, it's not just there. You have to drill in farther. Like you say, there's another button you have to click to see the actual option. And so I changed the duration of this because I had no idea that you could do this to 8 seconds. And it just made the whole thing longer. And so your throttle brake trace is 8 seconds long, basically. And then you can change the hash line to be either horizontal or vertical. And so I just monkeyed around with it. I ended up with 8 seconds, and I like it. I actually love the trace. I like to see where my brake is at any given moment, like a percentage. Oh, that looks like 80%, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't use the graph. I mean, I have the inputs up, and I really just have them up to make sure that I don't end up with an issue where I've got like my brake pedal dragging. Or the way I can keep an eye out, make sure that by chance I'm not getting full throttle. That's really the only reason that I have it up. Um, I don't I don't need anything else to distract me while I'm driving, trying to look at brake trace and all that.
It is eye candy, and that's probably why I turned it on. It looks good on the stream.
From a streaming standpoint, yes, I think it's perfect.
All right, next up I got the Talladega Challenge. This is a forum post by Don Canwright. Uh, hey, road course and F1 drivers, um, especially F1 sim drivers, we've been debating this forever. Can a modern F1 car even stay on the track at Talladega? Physics says yes. With all the aero downforce, 33-degree banking, an F1 car would be glued to the track. It'd probably run 230 to 245 average. Blah, 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 blah. Can we do this? He basically throws out the gauntlet. Can it be done? Matthew Weiss responded, "Hey, send me a setup."
I, yeah, I can imagine it could be done. I don't think I own the F1 car, but I'm sure somebody's done it. Probably could drill into wonder where you can go find a world record. Somebody's probably got a world record somewhere for the Mercedes F1 car at Talladega. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I have done this in the past in a hosted environment, like as a fun race. I don't know, maybe it was IndyCar though, but yeah, it's hard to remember. But um, yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting. I mean, what other weird car combo and slash track, it's kind of out there that nobody has ever done. Well, one thing we saw this week, Brad, was Carson Hocevar, NASCAR superstar. He was streaming up on the TikTok his pro dirt trucks at the short pavement ovals, and it was actually great TV.
Yeah, I imagine that's been fun. I think they did. I think the last one he did was what Phoenix or something. But I mean, look, we've seen those the jumpy trucks as we typically call them. Um, I mean, they've done some road courses through the years. I mean, real life, like Long Beach and different stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I know you'd posted in the chat, and I think it's usually what Wednesday night when we're racing NIS is maybe when it is normally. But yeah, it's one of those things probably be fun to try out.
Well, Carson has a sponsor and he's giving out money and all that, so it's a big event. He was the host and he got turned early in one of these bull ring events, and he was laughing his ass off, and he was having such a good time, and you tell it was just genuine too. He's one of us. Look, Carson Hocevar is an iRacer more than he's a NASCAR star. He really is.
I think I would say he's probably a NASCAR star who's also an avid iRacer. How about
There
that?
you go. Okay.
So we got a forum post here from Terry Howe, and I labeled this one as facepalm. So he says, "Sort it out, iRacing. This is total rubbish. I can't chat if I'm on chat suspension till April 24th. That was for 1 month. Then just today, they tell me I'm getting my chat suspended for 3 months for a protest that I sent to them, and I was swearing in the replay. But no one can hear me in the race. So, what the blank is wrong with iRacing making total crap judgment calls? Wow. Let's obviously we have an issue with our mouth, and I guess he's got an extra 3 months to think about what he should and shouldn't say.
So wait a minute. How? I don't understand. So you clip a replay of iRacing. It has the audio embedded from that time frame during the race.
I would assume that unless that makes the most sense to me. So if it's embedded in there, then obviously it was being transmitted.
He says, quote, and I was swearing in the replay. So here's what happened. So I got a mental picture now. So they're driving. He gets wrecked. He thinks he's wrong. He cusses the guy out or says some kind of bad word. F you, whatever. Then he goes and clips it and sends it to the admin and includes his F bomb as well as the wreck.
That's why I said face palm. Just, dude, you just should have probably quit while you were ahead.
Well, when people wreck like that and they get on the radio and they're going back and forth, and the guy who got wrong starts dropping f bombs, you know that he right there he's already thrown his protest away because somebody else is going to protest his f bomb. Just mute the mic maybe, or mute the headset, the driver
Yeah,
chat.
yeah. Just set a push to talk button and don't push it.
Okay, so Brad, we actively use Premier Racing setups, and we use them every week, months, week after week, months turns into years, and it's a process. Like you got to go find setups, you got to do this and that, you got to, you know. So what is this announcement about? I don't get it.
All right, so on the Class A setups with Premier Racing, if you are using their subscription, their monthly subscription, there's now full integration with Garage 61. So what that means is not only do you still get the normal setups, you get qualifying setups, race setups. They're automatically downloaded and synced to your computer, so you don't have to go searching for them. If there's updates, they automatically get synced. But you're also getting enhanced detailed notes. You're getting the comprehensive track guide. You're still going to get your best lap, your replays and all that stuff. You're gonna get the free adjustment sheet. But again, there's a lot of integration here. So Garage 61 is a huge resource. Um, so anybody that's in the Garage 61 program through Premier Setups, you can be able to look at their data. You can compare, so you can actually look at the compare your data to the actual builders, to Brandon and Scott. So they've been talking for the last probably about a month or so that they were going to release something. So to me, this is huge. Again, still just anybody that was in there, your price didn't change. They did make a slight bump to the cost. It's $25 a month, but $25 a month to get setups every week, two builders. So you're going to get usually six setups plus qualifying, all the other stuff, full integration, really good price. And again, we've said over and over again, setups are fast. We talked, I think, last week. Kwame Scott, factory driver for them, won the Coke Series race, I think at Michigan. If that's right. So, look, we've used other shops. I've used other shops through the years, and I have yet to figure out a better shop than Premier Racing Setups. Just great resources, great sets. Get on their Discord, lots of help, answer questions. We've had the guys on here before, and just a good all around, and honestly, best value. You're not going to find anything that good for what they're asking cost wise.
Look, those guys over at Premiere, they actually watch my stream on TikTok, and so I appreciate them watching my races. Um, Also, this sounds like a great value because it what you describe is like just what we were talking about, trading paints, where it's basically files are being delivered to the computer automatically, right? And so if I'm with Premiere and I'm already paying for Premiere setups and I don't know what Garage 61 is, so I have to go get Garage 61 that does the synchronization, and so that's an extra service or that costs extra money.
Nope, it's all included. So you grab Garage 61, and then there's a login that you can use that logs you in with PRS. It takes care of all of that. So again, it's going to sync it. So every time you jump into the sim, Garage 61 is going to load. It's going to go ahead and sync your sets. That way you don't have to worry about it. So like, for those that are just, if you're buying a set every week, if there's an update, you have to go back into your downloads and you have to go back and re-grab the file. Not a huge deal, but again, trying to make things easy for people. They'll make a notification on Discord, say, hey, I put out version 2, version 3, whatever it is. But if you're on the monthly, if you're a subscriber on the Class A uh, Oval Series pack, you're automatically they're going to push it out through Garage 61, and you're going to have it as soon as you load in. It's going to be downloaded to your setups folder. You don't have to worry about going and grabbing a zip file and extracting it and doing all that stuff. It's there.
Like you just, it's just perfect for me. Like I sit down right at the top of the hour, I jump in the race, I hit load setup, and it's just right there. It's super convenient.
For somebody like you that doesn't practice, yes, this is perfect.
Anyway, Richard and those guys, yeah, they're doing a great job, and this is a huge value. When I saw this, I was like, wow, this is cool. Okay, so Moza, we have a TikTok video from Ricky P13 on TikTok showing off his Moza R3 after only 20 laps at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. He's got literally smoke coming off of this base, Brad. It is smoking.
Yeah, that's a little concerning, and that's only a 3 Newton meter base. So, um, yeah, uh, yeah, I'd be concerned.
So my first thought was, where's my fire extinguisher? Oh, it's right there, the fire extinguisher on my desk. But look, everyone should have a fire extinguisher within reach of a sim rig because look, think about what we're doing. We have a direct drive motor, 120 volts, and how many know how many amps, and it's putting out all this force. There's so many things that can go wrong, and so I think it's a great idea to have a fire extinguisher. In fact, I was even thinking about mounting it actually on the rig where I could just reach down and grab it.
Well, we see guys that will build out their rigs for immersion and actually have fire extinguishers on there. So maybe not a maybe they're trying to just pre-plan to where they can grab it if they need to. So
So,
yeah, a little concerning though to see an R3 overheating. Wheel direct drive wheelbases can get warm, but to see one smoking, that's a bit of a concern.
all right, sim to reality. We have Wanda esports driver Joshua Rogers making his real world motorsports debut over the weekend. He's doing the BTCC supporting Porsche Sprint Challenge GB Championship, and it went rather well. And so Traxian GG has done a full story here on it, Brad.
Yeah, we got an article here from Trax and GG. So, yep, like Mike said, has joined the Porsche Sprint Challenge, Great Britain. So, joining the ever-growing legion of sim to real racers, which includes the likes of Max Verstappen's protege, Chris Lullum, who's worked his way up to the. He's going to be. I think he's running in SRO, GT3 World Europe. But yeah, so he. Um, Joshua competed in the RS Pro category. He was immediately on pace during the Donington Park's opening practice sessions and then actually topped the timesheets ahead of qualifying, where he placed himself on the front row just a tenth off the pole position. Race day, so let's see, where did he finish? Should have pre-read this to get it ready.
Third,
Yep, third position in race one, and then finished P2 in the second race. So congrats to him. Rogers has a glittering sim racing career driving for Coanda across multiple disciplines and winning scores of titles across iRacing, Rensport, and R Factor 2 with the switch to car racing, highlighting the increasingly blurred line between sim racing and motorsports. So, look, we talked before, and we've seen this in some of the other stuff that's been done. I mean, look, you learn the basics in sim racing, then you just got to be able to take it out there and apply it. Um, the cars drive very similar. Again, we don't have the seats of the pants thing. Yes, there's a difference when it's real, and you just got to learn the speed. But the basics you can learn in sim racing transfer over. Otherwise, we wouldn't see sims being used so much by professional drivers for either learning new tracks, learning new cars, and with the teams, doing setup and stuff like that. So, again, just more sim to reality.
I remember a series of videos we watched from Red Bull that had, I believe, this guy coming up through the Red Bull cars and ending up in an F1 car doing laps. Is this that same guy?
A different guy,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, I can't remember who that was off the top of my head. But again, even then, when we went through that, I mean, you know, he got out there, and the guys that were, on the team were expecting him to really not be fast, and then were absolutely floored when he was on pace.
About gloves, we got Funky T-Bone TV, who we saw at the Sim Gaming Expo this last year, and I do believe he's set up to come back this year. He does a short video here on Instagram, a reel about why he decided to use gloves, and it's really about protecting the wheel. And boy, this really hit home with me specifically because when I got my nice MPI wheel, I did not use gloves initially, and it ruined the finish of it. It's not it would be a much brighter colored wheel if I had worn gloves from day one. And I realize that now, and I was stupid not to do that. And so my message to the listeners is, get a nice new wheel, you need to use gloves from day one.
Well, especially if you got an Alcantara wheel. So if you got Alcantara or suede, you want to use gloves. Just the oils from your hands are going to deteriorate the wheel. I look, I've used gloves for years. When I was sim racing years ago, I used gloves. I thought it was silly at first until I actually started using them. And again, my hands don't sweat. I don't end up with blisters. And again, it just there's a lot more grip. It's more comfortable when I'm using gloves as opposed to just doing it barehanded. You protect your wheels. But even like when I'm doing road racing and I've got rubber, my my um, my road racing wheel, it's rubber. It's got rubber grips, but I don't want to be in sweaty. I'd rather put gloves on and use those. It's not about being cool or anything like that. One is protecting the wheel too. I think it makes it easier to race with gloves on. Again, my hands will sweat at nothing. If I put gloves on, they never sweat.
Yeah, I was surprised when I first got my Baradness gloves. I felt like I was grippier on the wheel. It was like an advantage, all of it. It was like 5% advantage or something. But because my Alcantara is really pushed down, matted, it's almost smooth, real smooth, and so it's lost its color, and that's a shame. But yeah, I've learned my lesson.
Yep. I mean, I had bought a wheel, when I was racing before, back in, I think I bought it probably 14 or 15, before I stopped racing in 16. And I think I did about 2 weeks barehanded. And I was like, ooh, wait a second. I don't like the way this is looking. So I went at that point and got gloves. And then from that point on, to me, gloves no different than racing shoes. I have to have racing shoes. Those are two necessities that I need to have in order to feel comfortable in the rig.
Yeah, I'm all socks. I don't ever felt the need for shoe yet.
Put some shoes on, you'll never wear socks again.
This guy might need one sock. Eh,
Oh, stop it.
Ouch. I'm just poking at Dave Myers. Okay, so we got a nice story on Overtake GG about Dave Myers. Look, I'm just it's an affectionate poke. Okay, but it shows an Instagram post here about the story. Dave Myers may be missing an arm and a leg, but that doesn't keep him off the grid in sim racing, and certainly not from trying to inspire other gamers with his disabilities. And it shows a picture of him in his rig. Uh, a little tubular rig. He's got a small wheel, a little oval wheel. Uh, he's got his left arm and his left leg, and he's making do with that. And so, what else do you see here, Brad?
Yeah, just cool. Look, I mean, we can make all the excuses we want to make. This is just a example. If you want to do something, you put your mind to it. You can do it. Actually, I'm pretty sure he got a shout out on Dale Jr.'s podcast this week. Um, they talked about this because then they rolled into talking about Robert Wickens. So Robert Wickens this past week at the MSUT Long Beach Grand Prix. Robert Wickens was an IndyCar driver who ended up being paralyzed basically from the waist down, and he's gotten back into competitive racing. Started last year at GT3. Had been running in the Michelin Pilot Challenge before that, but yeah, Roberts actually sat on the pole this past weekend at Long Beach Grand Prix, and the DST Corvette, but using hand controls. So Robert has no use of his legs. Everything's through hand controls. So look, I think this is awesome with David. Again, I mean, look, I, you don't need two hands and two legs to race. I mean, one hand you can do it. I mean, lots of guys just use their if you're a right foot breaker, yeah, don't use your left foot for braking. So not a big deal there. I'm a 2 foot breaker, but if I needed to, I could probably figure out how to do it. So shout out to Dave. Um, Definitely inspiring. Keep it up, man. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm always inspired by old friend Carlos Fonseca, who you'll find in Top Split Oval, 4,000 ish I rating. He's in a wheelchair. He's a quadriplegic. He doesn't have use of his arms or his legs, and so he makes do with a Xbox controller somehow. And he is faster than me. He has a higher E rating than me, and you'd be like, well, how is that possible? He's smoking good. I mean, that's how. I mean, he knows how to race and on a controller. And so we spend all this money on all this equipment with the active brakes and the monster wheel and all this stuff to just try to gain some kind of advantage, but you really don't need that. I mean, Carlos is the perfect example of that.
Yep, yep, he is. You know, we've known Carlos for a long time, and Carlos actually has a YouTube channel. I haven't looked at in a while where he would do on the fixed setups like for the NASCAR series. NIS would do walkthrough videos. So yeah, just a shout out here. Oval Racing iRating 4500. So there you go for Carlos.
I think the channel, YouTube channel is Sim Racing Chewy. I remember
Yep,
right.
yep. Uh, yes, yes. Sim Chewy side, something like that.
Yeah, it's the word Chewy. Yeah. Well, anyway, shout out to Carlos. Shout out to Dave with his overtake article. Look, anyone who has a disability like that of some kind, they're welcome in sim racing. Come race with us. We can figure out a way for you to race.
Yeah, and look, if you've got something going on, you can reach out to iRacing too. There's things that they can do to help you to make things easier. I know we've got Joe Owen on the team, and Joe's got some site issues, so he's able to have iRacing can do some stuff. Even if they change it either with the contrast or something to where it makes it easier for him to see. So, lots of stuff that iRacing can do to help those that are dealing with a disability.
Yes. The worst 5 cars in iRacing. Look, we've been giving some love lately to Carl Sampson's YouTube channel because he's putting out consistent videos for one. But he gives us, and he's been giving us his, top 5, worst 5 of different things in iRacing the last couple of weeks. But this time, the worst cars, and it's the bottom of the barrel list, the Porsche Mission R, the electric car. I totally agree with that. He goes on to say the old V8 supercar. I'm going to totally disagree with that. We have so much fun with this on the weekends,
Whoa, whoa,
running at
whoa, whoa!
Michigan,
Wait, you have fun at the ovals with this. You don't ride. You don't use this car on the roadside. It's miserable to
Michigan
drive on the.
specifically,
Yes,
Michigan Oval.
it is miserable to try to drive on the road.
Look, 4 wide. Think 4 wide, 6 deep at Michigan in the old V8 supercars. It's a blast, actually. But you're right. On a road, it probably belongs on the list. The UMP modified, yeah, nobody runs that, right? And then, of course, the Mercedes Formula One car that we kind of were talking about that nobody runs.
And then you got the stock car Brazil. So total lack of community engagement, poor design. Just car handles terribly. Um, Struggles with the downshifting. So, despite being featured on Free Track Series, rarely sees enough players to even make an official race. So, look, this is the issue. I mean, there's so much content in iRacing. Some of the stuff's old, and it's what it is. I don't own the Porsche Mission or the electric car. Probably never would have bought it. It was came out I think when I wasn't on the service, but yeah, I mean it's just some of these I own, some I don't, but it's I don't know. There's probably guys like you, Mike, that love the old V8 supercar. And I'm sure there's guys that don't be on the roadside probably loved it and probably don't like the new one. It's just what it is. But this is again just Carl's sentiments.
Not a bad list. What is Ray hanging it up?
So I ran across this X post from Ray Alfalla. It's a multi-time NASCAR Coke Series champion. Said, I guess he's quoting someone here. Says Ray is washed, and then he said, counterpoint: if the cars drove like this back then, it would be a zero time. So, just thought this was kind of interesting. Kind of roll through some of the. You got some replies here from some of the Coke Series guys. Um, you know, talking about the way that some of the old car drove and how things are different now. Um, was pretty neat. Logan Clampett. Says I guess 95% of us older guys are washed, according to those people, because we moved on in life from a video game and whatnot. So Ray says I'm not sure if there's any amount of practice that can make our brains forget how good we had it back then. Um, so
Oh,
he goes on.
woe is me. They're what are they wishing for Gen 6? Is that what this
Yeah,
is? A pity
yeah.
party for the Gen 7 garbage car?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, there's certain cars that were better to drive, and I get it. There was a very sweet time in
Those were the
sim
days.
racing. Yes, yes, the cars were
Title
good.
idea. Those are the days. Those were the
You
days.
know, but look, it's NASCAR's changed, sim racing's changed. It is what it is. That's the deal. If it is if the everything if you think back to when the Gen 4 was released, it was going to be this is it. This is the best car in the world, and guess what? It's got no participation. Why? Because it's not a current car. People want to drive what they watch on Sundays. That's just what it comes down to. You want to drive what your heroes drive, and that's the way it's always been.
This Ray Alfalla story is a very mirror of the Kyle Busch story this week, where people are just lamenting about Kyle Busch and his downfall lately, and and people pointing out it's really been ever since the Gen 7, But yeah, that's interesting for sure. Box This Lab, we have a Box This Lab article about the new graphics engine for iRacing, about everything we know about it. Did we learn anything new?
Uh, I don't think a lot. We do know that its name is Spark, so that's what they've named it. Um, so again, this is iRacing is going to build their own engine. They're not going to use a commercial engine that's available. So there's stuff out there, like Unreal and Unity. But again, iRacing's chosen to build their own. The reason being professional level sim racing demands an extremely delicate balance. So minimal latency, high frequency physics, millimeter precision on surfaces, stability under massive load conditions, and so forth. And again, that's what Spark's been designed for. Almost a stubborn philosophy is performance first, aesthetics second. But while that may sound unglamorous, it's precisely what allows everything else to make sense. So, um, it's in development now. We do know that I guess they call it the moment's known as a vertical slice is where we're at now. So that's been reached. It may not be something spectacular, but a vertical slice means currently everything in one scene is working. So from the system's capable of loading a circuit, integrating a vehicle, processing the information, and rendering the complete scene without breaking down in the attempt. So again, doesn't have we don't have all of the bells and whistles and stuff, but they're making progress. Um, One of the biggest things I think complaint wise from an iRacing from the graphics engine currently is nighttime lighting. I think we don't agree. It's not great. There's lots of limitations in that, from structural limitations. You're trying to manage dozens of cars, all sorts of different dynamic light sources. Um, so again, in order to be able to do that, there's a lot of sacrifice that has to go into it. So expectation with Spark is that that scenario is going to change. New approach will allow for hundreds of dynamic lights to be handled effectively, transforming how the environment is perceived. So, from brake lights, headlights, reflections, wet tarmac, projected shadows, to move from being approximations and actually be, within the coherent elements of the world. So, um, some of the improvements, while they may not make big headlines, they do have enormous impact. So, vegetation's a good example. We've already started to see some screenshots of some of the differences in vegetation. Currently in the current engine, the trees don't really do any. There's no, while they may cast a shadow onto the road, there's no internal shadows, stuff like that. So it doesn't give you any sort of depth to the perspective when you're looking at something. So there's a lot of stuff, but we've talked at length that one of the issues with iRacing is it's very CPU dependent. Does not handle multi cores very well. It's the dependence really is kind of on a single execution thread. So as things get done and this restructuring is going to move towards a genuine multi-threaded architecture, we should be able to see improvements across the board with a lot of stuff. So yeah, just kind of a neat article. I don't know if we really learned a whole lot. Just kind of nice to kind of see it all kind of collected here in one area. I would love to be able to get an update from iRacing. We would be nice to kind of see, hey, where are we at? Were we we a third of the way through? Or are we a tenth of the way through? Where are we through? Because this started, gosh, I guess I started talking about this probably close to 2 years ago, or maybe into 24 is what I'm thinking. So it would definitely be nice to get some sort of timeline from iRacing on maybe what to expect.
As you described the article there, a couple of thoughts came to mind, and one of them is in any software developer, any software title that's working on software development right now, this is a very critical time with AI and how you're going to use AI, and a lot of developers looking at losing jobs because of AI. You just mentioned, well, it's been unused for 2 years. Well, 2 years ago, AI definitely wasn't involved in making this, but it could be today. In today's day and age, they could be using AI to help them code this. And I kind of wonder, is it a human only coding project? Are only humans working on this? I wonder if software companies think about this. Are we going to have a mix of human and AI coding in this, or are we just going to have a few humans having AI do most of the coding? And I think that's eventually where we're going to get. But I have that thought, and then and the second thought. So I'd like to hear from iRacing. Are they doing human only coding on this? Are they going to introduce any AI coding? Because I've seen it work. Sometimes the AI coding can introduce a lot of junk, actually. Um, but the other thing I thought about was NVIDIA and NVIDIA graphics cards and the new tech that they're working on with all we just had a recent announcement from them about how FPS is going to get so much better because of AI and these different things. Uh, is is iRacing building this massive graphics engine that maybe a year from now might not be necessary because of NVIDIA's constant upgrading?
I think the challenge that iRacing's always had, and I think the one of the reasons that it leans so heavy CPU is just because the amount of physics calculations that go into it. Um, if I remember, back in the day, there's a lot that goes into calculating what's going on. It's not just the visual that the visual is one thing, but it's all the physics that goes along with it. So to me, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, one, I would like to see an updated graphics renderer would be great, but to be able to offload some of that physics stuff, whether it's offloading multi-threading, even potentially offloading some of that into, I think because there's portions of the graphics card that can handle some physics and stuff like that would be nice. But Mike, you talk about the AI stuff. Look, I think I would be surprised. I think it's hands-on and is somewhat micromanaging that iRacing seems to be. I would think that this is probably completely in-house, probably being done by a select team, and that's probably all they're focused on.
Yeah, that's the best answer.
So, Mike, we talked last week about a backup rig. Got a post here from ASR. What do you think?
It was pretty awesome. Look, triple monitors, full on motion with slip angle, platform on the bottom, totally loaded. Not just one rig, but two identical rigs in a garage side by side. And this is literally the epitome of backup rigs, right? Or is it maybe husband and wife?
Hey, you know, his and a her. So, but if his goes down, you know what that means. Hey, honey, you ain't racing tonight. It's me.
And look, we were talking about backup rigs on the Discord this week. One of our listeners had a Sim Magic wheelbase go down, and they're wanting him to pay $100 to ship it. He was scoffing at the idea, but you also brought up the point. Well, this would be a perfect time for that backup rig.
It would. See, this is what you have to anticipate. Look, most people have two cars. If one car's in the shop, you just can't say I can't go nowhere. What do? You got to figure it out. You
Still
take
got to
the
go
other
to
car.
work.
Still got to go to work. So hey, backup rig time.
All right. Next up is some forum posts about the some changes to the league invitation process. So when you are in a or creating a league or you're a league admin, you can send out invites, but they're actually changing that system up.
Yeah, they're going to put a cap of 100 pending invitations that may exist at any time. So this is going to start July 21st is when they're going to go ahead and implement some of these rules to help optimize the system. So any additional league invitations beyond the 100 may not be sent. Says an error message will appear, and then once a league invite is accepted or declined, it's removed from that 100 pending invitation, so it's no longer pending. Um, so the other thing is league invitations will be automatically declined 90 days after the invitation was sent if the invitee does not accept or decline. So sounds like just trying to do some cleanup here. I would imagine a lot of that stuff just kind of sits somewhere on a server or some sort of how on a back end thing. However, the whole the invite system. What I don't know if that's powered through the well, it's obviously powered through the UI, but my guess is there's probably hundreds and probably thousands of invites that are just kind of out there in no man's land.
I think they just build up over time and they never go away. That's what I remember because I've gotten a lot of invites from various leagues, because I'm a podcast host, but and I never touch them and they just sit there forever.
Well, I think one of the problems is people probably get an invite, they have no idea they had it because it's kind of hard to find anything in the UI when it comes to messaging.
Right?
All right, we got season 2026, season two, patch three release notes. So this was originally supposed to drop on Tuesday, and Tuesday we did get a forum post saying, "Hey, found some problems," so they pushed it back a day, and it's been fixed. So just kind of a quick hit here, quite a few user interface changes. They added the ABS line to the throttle and the brake widget. Some performance issues from the results tab. Um, some issues where the UI elements were not positioned correctly after loading, I guess, into VR on certain headsets. Uh, some issues with the mirrors, and then a crash could occur when you're loading one of the HUD profiles. So, biggest thing that came out of this is BOP changes across multiple classes. So GT3s across the classes, GTEs, GTPs as well. And then you kind of got a long breakthrough down of each of the cars on some of the stuff that was changed. So, we've gotten, we're almost halfway through season two. So decided to make some across the board changes to balance our performance. A few of the other ones, some of the stuff from the I think the legacy stuff, some of the stuff in the last patch that they updated, a few more tweaks to that, like the Nissan GTP, ZXT, some brake cooling, front tire grip and whatnot, and then a few just couple track updates, really some small things, catch fence, and then single pit road issue on Bristol Motor Speedway. So there was a pit road issue that could reset a driver's pit settings upon entry. Boy, that would suck.
So this second post, Brad, details the BOP changes for the GT3 classes class, and just so I understand, this affects GT3s across the board on any series, right?
Yeah, yeah. So again, working to get your balance of performance. So in the GT3 only, which is the SemiCube series, your IMSA series, and this would affect the DTM series as well. So your IMSA Open and IMSA Fix, same thing with the GT3s. So yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of needed. It's good to get some tweaks. I mean, we had some cars that you can kind of read through the forum post here. There's some cars that definitely needed some help. The Ferrari, I think, was struggling mightily. So that was a good help with that. And again, the purpose is to try to avoid that meta car, which is what we end up with sometimes. We a lot of times when it comes to special events, they'll do a special BOP specifically for that event. But it's really been a while since I think they've done a full BOP in regards to just the regular racing. So glad to see it. Again, this is what IMSA does, and this is what WEC does. They constantly are looking at having to make adjustments to make sure the cars, again, it's not necessarily matching the power. The goal there is to figure out, get all the cars within a similar lap time. You know, um, in the real world, it's done by track. iRacing can't do that. So again, the goal there is to try to make everything as similar as they can. And look, that's the way the real world works. There should be some tracks where car X is going to be a little bit better than car Y, but when we get to the other track, car Y may be better than car X. So that's how it balances itself out.
Right. Jaxer has a video. You're probably starting sim racing wrong. And he shows 5 core principles that he would focus on if he was starting his sim racing journey over again. Number 1, learn to lose positions properly. Predictability over defense. Faster drivers catching you, don't fight it. Defending against a significantly faster car often leads to accidents, lost time, and frustration. Strategic concession. Let the faster cars pass on a straight to keep your race boring and predictable. Understand what force feedback language is. You're, it isn't about feeling realistic or strong, it's a communication tool. Your hands should listen for weight transfer, grip loss, and surface changes. Avoid setting that force feedback too high or too low. Find that sweet spot where you can hear the car consistently through your hand. And that I'll digress there for a minute, Brad, because I've actually been experimenting with turning down force feedback a lot at the ring on certain cars, and it's actually made me a much smoother driver, and I think it made me faster, but only certain cars.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's there's a lot of, we don't have the seat of the pants feeling. We don't have the G forces. We don't have any of that. So for us, it's three things. It's visual, it's sound, and then it's feeling in our hands. That's where it's coming from. So on the sound side, a lot of people will increase the sound of the tires so they can hear the tires scrubbing better. From a visual standpoint, again, there's some, there's cues that you get while you're racing, but then it's the feeling. If you got the force feedback up way too high, then you're never going to feel the nuance of the car, the front end getting light, when you're over driving, or you're going to feel, you get the nuance of the feeling the rear brake loose because you're over driving or you're loose. There is a sweet spot. I think, you can go too far either direction. You can completely take the feeling out of the car, or you can have it to where it's just way too much and you lose, you lose the feeling. I mean, too much, there more sometimes, or less is more. I think really like on the haptic side, that's a big thing there. Instead of trying to load up, 35 different uh, haptics coming through and everything like that, that it just becomes a muddled mess. And if you're running too much force feedback, it just becomes a muddled mess. You don't know what you're feeling because it's just too much of one thing.
Yeah, and then he goes on to say the jaw trick, physical tension leads to mistakes. If you find yourself tensing up, relax your jaw, rest of your body will naturally follow. Calm is smooth. Avoid death gripping the wheel. A relaxed body leads to more composed inputs and fewer wall impacts. Uh, I found streaming actually is when you know somebody's watching you or you're on candid camera, as they say. It's almost like you're standing in front of a mirror. You're like, okay, you're getting ready for your job interview. You're smiling. You're fixing your tie. You're at your best. Well, and so the same thing with your racing. The guy's gonna run into you. Your anger and you're frustrated. And then you look over. Oh yeah, I'm still on camera. But I don't know. There's something mentally about that makes me calmer while I race. Um, Knowing that I'm accountable, that people are watching. I don't know what it is. Uh, he also talks about avoid the spiral. Once you make a mistake, overdrive a corner, get in a crash, don't make it worse going into the next corner. Avoid that death spiral.
So prioritize vision over hands. So intentional focus, train your eyes to hit specific anchor points. So apexes, braking marks, rather than just driving by feel. Again, like I said, vision informs everything that your hands and your feet do. He says the assassin-like rhythm. Try to be consistent with where you look leads to satisfying, repeatable rhythm on the track. So, look, just in real life, when you're driving a car, where your eyes go is where the car goes, and it works in sim racing too. I find that for me, like I'm on triples, and if I'm road racing, if I'm when I can find the apex and I can see the where I want to hit corner exit, and I'm making a left hand turn. If I can look through that A pillar, I find that I have a much better chance of actually hitting my apex properly and then exiting the corner correctly. So that transfers over as well. Um, so just some bonus tips. Um, it's just feeling fast versus being fast. If you feel on it and composed, cherish that growth regardless of the lap time. There's always someone faster, even faster than Max Verstappen on iRacing. So again, focus on your own progress. Um, just to touch back on a couple of things that Mike shared here. The whole thing about predictable. Strategically making concessions. Somebody's faster than you, just pull over. It does no good to try to fight them. Look, if you're getting down to the last lap or something like that, you're 4 corners away. I get it. If you're on lap two of a 30 lap race, just look, pull over, find the right spot. If you let them go on the straightaway where you don't lose time, and then guess what? You get behind them. Watch what they're doing. Try to then keep pace with them. Let the rabbit get out there and run, and you see if you can chase the rabbit. And then Mike also talked about the avoid the spiral. We're all going to make mistakes, and as soon as you loop it or whatever it is, just look, reset. Let's try to get the best finish we can get. As soon as you turn into, oh, I've got to drive right back through the field. Guess what? You're going to wreck the car again, or you're going to spin again because you're over driving the car.
The worst for me is I spin out at the ring and it's so narrow, there's nowhere to turn around, and there's traffic coming, lots of traffic, and you can't get turned around without doing an unsafe rejoin. And so I'm in a panic. I've spun, I'm nosed into the wall, everyone's streaming by me. I'm like, crap, what am I going to, I'm just anger and frustration, and you just want to throw it in reverse and back up into the track, and you should. And what do? I hold down the escape key and I tow that dang thing. All right, next up we got Enrique Cuquion on Twitter, giving us a warning, and I think this is a fair warning because this guy is a public figure, right? So he's calling out Corey Heim on iRacing. Yeah, that Corey Heim, the guy from NASCAR. He said him and his friends were hosting up a ARCA race at Talladega. There were some other people in there that he recognized: Taylor Reamer, Lawless Allen, ARCA crew member Kevin Reed Jr. He goes on to tell them, what, what went wrong in this hosted event. It's a pretty long read, Brad, but at the end of the day, he's basically saying he's let his friend get away with murder, and we shouldn't be racing with these people.
Yeah, look, the truth is here somewhere. All we have is one side of the story. I'm flipping through some of the comments. I think there's about 112 comments on this, and I'm seeing both sides of it. I've raced with Heim and those guys, and it's been fine, it's been fair, and whatnot. And then I see the other thing. Oh, they're horrible and all this. So uh, I don't know. Again, the truth is there somewhere. Um, it's I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that someone would act that way. But look, if somebody puts up a hosted. In all truth and reality, guess what? It's their hosted event. They can do what they want to do. I mean, it's just what it is. They're the one paying for it. So if right or wrong, I mean, I don't know if I don't know. I don't do a ton of hosted stuff. I don't have time. What little time I do is typically an official. But yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't know where to land on this. Again, we only have one side of the story.
Well, I can say that this kind of thing does happen though, in hosted and in leagues. Where there's favoritism that's blatant, or there's, hey, I'm gonna wave around my buddies, but I'm not gonna wave around you. You know, I've seen it all. Or there's a lot of people who are afraid to jump into host. Look, if a room is open and it's not locked, you could just jump in there. Nobody's stopping you. But they sure can boot you out for any reason in the world they want. And I've been kicked out of my share of fair rooms, and it's a little humbling when that happens, when it says connection closed and everybody's gone. Title
All
idea:
right, Mike.
connections closed.
There you go. All right, Mike. Tell us what's going on at the Sim Gaming Expo.
Coming up in September. Wow, we are booked officially. We have an announcement from Sim Gaming Expo about the iRacers Lounge podcast is going to be there September 18th, 19th, 20th at the Schaumburg Renaissance Convention Center. And so, yeah, second year in a row. Look, it's an opportunity for us to connect to listeners. Come by, get a sticker. We're going to have stickers. We're going to have some other surprise stuff. But it's a chance to just meet each other and talk and hang out. Go maybe wander over to a motion rig and try it together. Talk racing, let's do it. And so look, we're making the effort, guys. We're spending the money. We booked the trip. We're gonna be there. I want you listeners to be there too. So if you're a listener, don't be afraid. Don't be shy. You are in a community. Come be part of it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, and we talked about, a lot. It's so nice to be able to spend the weekend talking with like-minded people that just love racing, or they're sim racing, sim gaming, and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. So hopefully, going to have one of the setup builders from Premier Racing Setups going to be there at some point over the weekend. So I've been talking with him. So we'll make a little announcement a little bit later once we know that's for certain. But again, great opportunity to meet us. Ideally, should have an opportunity to meet one of the builders from Premier Racing Setups, ask questions and whatnot. So yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. We had a great time last year just connecting with listeners, and then just I was amazed at the amount of people that were just getting into sim racing or had so many questions because they heard about it and had gotten into it. And I mean, we spent hours talking to people and just trying to help them as much as we could. So a couple other got quite a few announcements this week, along with the iRacers Lounge podcast being there. RaceData.ai is going to be there, so they're going to welcome them back. They were there last year, so their mission is to make sim racing telemetry accessible to everyone. So, platform analyzes racing data from both simulators and real cars. So, great opportunity there. 4D Raceware is returning. They were there last year. I think Mike spent some time talking to them. So they're making all sorts of sim racing shoes, gloves, custom apparel, so gear that's built for sim racers. And then we got some special guest announcements. Brendan Hypster will be back. He was there last year as well. We've got Sims by iRacers. We've talked about them quite a bit. We got them later in the script with their Teflon sliders. We spent quite a bit of time talking with them last year. Really cool products. This Dad's Bad, so it's another special guest. This guy's does a lot of MX5 racing and streamers, so pretty cool. Got Funky T Bone, who we just saw the video from him with the gloves. He's going to be there as well. So yeah, continuing to get lots of announcements, lots of influencers, celebrities, stuff like that currently. And then I'm sure as we start to get a little bit closer to September, we'll end up a lot more of the hardware announcements as well.
Yeah, and only a month out now is the Sim Racing Expo in Charlotte. Announcements for that. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is actually going to be at the Sim Racing Expo Charlotte live on stage. So cool to see him there. We also have Sim X Pro coming. They do racing rigs and accessories from the Netherlands. So that'll be cool to see them. I haven't not heard of them before. And then Fast Lane Sim Racing Rentals looks like they have a trailer that goes to out to events that has several sim rigs inside the trailer. We've seen setups like this before. And Simpatico Sim Shop is also going to go be at the Sim Racing Expo, as well as what's this other guy? Sim X
Yeah,
Pro.
yeah, it's a double post, so ignore that one.
I got you. And then we have GS, uh, GSN, I'll call it CNN Machining. And this is a company I was kind of interested in when I saw this, but they do CNC machining for parts, shafts, screws, and nuts. So I'm thinking like parts for your rig and stuff like that, maybe.
That or maybe this is they may be producing a lot of the CNC machine, the CNC parts that's being used in sim racing stuff is my guess.
Right. And then there is a hall plan update, uh, and they're changing up the floor plan apparently.
Yeah, if you go to the website, you can actually they have an interactive floor plan where you can see what booths are what and who's where. So that was pretty cool. And then I also threw in here just kind of a quick updated screenshot of all the exhibitors and stuff they're going to be there. So quite a few. There's a few more booths that still are open. And when I looked the other day, a lot of them had announcement coming soon. So yeah, just less than a month away. I know that myself, William Westbrook, and I think Bobby is planning to go. Is Bobby Jonas is planning to go as well. So we'll be some. We'll have a little bit of coverage there as attendees for the podcast, and we'll probably I'll try to take a bunch of pictures and give listeners a big update when I get back.
So a month out, who's missing from this list that we expected to be on it?
The one big one that I'm really the two big ones, GSI being a Texas based, I figured they'd be there. Um, ASR, I thought would be there as well, seeing as they're just up in Canada. I don't see Sim Labs either. So those are kind of the three that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, but a lot of other big names, Podium One, CiviCube, Fanatec, Conspit, BDH, PXN, yeah, BRS. Lots of big names there, including iRacing, right? eNASCAR.
Yeah, there's going to be big eNASCAR presence there. With it being Memorial Day weekend and being in Charlotte as well. So
All right, events. We got the Rockingham 508. Blake McCandless put out on Twitter. It's Wednesday, May 13th, benefiting the Dale Jr. Foundation. 500 laps in the 87. And then Skip Barber, Brad.
Yep. So we've got the Skip Barber Formula iRacing Series is back. So with over $500,000 in prizes, including a full season in the Real World 2027 Skip Barber Race Series. So if we remember from last year, you're going to have to go ahead and register for the season. Again, there's a season pass that costs in order to apply. But that
250.
includes, yes, $250 to give you an opportunity for hot lap qualifying. Top 20 drivers qualify for each race, and then there's Thursday night sprint races. So top three um, end up. So grand prize is a full season seat, and then as far as the Skip Barber Racing Series, top three entrance into the Skip Barber Formula Car Shootout. Fourth and fifth get a 1 day Skip Barber Racing School, um, and then whatnot. So yeah, I mean, again, yes, there's a cost to this, but the payoff is quite significant, and we've seen that some of the guys that have gone through this have turned it into careers.
Right. If you're the guy who can win it, right? But if you're not really the guy who can win it, I don't know about the value of this. Look, these racing competitions and different things are great, I think, but asking the competitor to pay a fee to participate, I just wish they could figure out a way to structure it financially where they don't have to do that. There's got to be a way that Skip Barber and iRacing and whoever's doing all this figure it out a different way where you don't ask the participant for $250. That's all I say.
Yeah, but
Are they making money
again,
on this? Is this a business? I mean,
well, I mean, Mike, if it ain't cheap to put the winner in a full season sponsorship or scholarship as well. So,
so you're saying the 250 they get from everybody is basically funding the grand prize.
well, I think it's probably part of that, and I think the 250 kind of narrows your field down to people
Be
that are taking
serious,
this very, very serious.
right? All right, and then finally this week in iRacing,
Yeah, as we mentioned, so we got the DTM series kicks off tonight or today, so that's going to be at the Red Bull Ring. We've got the also have the iRacing Nürburgring Endurance Championship. So this will be week 3 of 10. Will take place this weekend. So again, we talked about this. This is a 10-week series at the Nürburgring. We've got the dirt sprint car 410. The dirt super late model is back in on the schedule this week, and then we've also got the second week of the Vintage Grand Prix Tour, and they will be at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
all right, podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out the Discord and get involved in the discussion. There is a lot of discussion going over there, guys. It's pretty fun. We were talking about the Heiskenfeld button box today and the updates they've done to that, which look amazing. But yeah, come join the conversation. And then, of course, our show notes at our iRacersLounge.com. Watch visually while you listen to the podcast. And then we are in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network. And get your merchandise at iRacersLounge.shop. Fantasy, Kansas. What do you got here, Brad?
So we rolled out of Kansas this week. Tied for first, we got Mike Awuju and Race Addict with 278 points. Third was NASCAR Jedi 2. Fourth, JTC 11C. And then have a 4-way tie for fifth with Redneck Racer 80, Bobby Jonas, Mud Dog, Matt Rob 40. So Kansas did not quite deliver the way I think a lot of people expected. It was a rather ho hum race until we got to the end, and had a caution, and I think the race was going to kind of play out naturally, and either probably Tyler Reddick or Denny Hamlin was going to win. Most likely Denny Hamlin after Tyler Reddick had some fuel issues, and but old Cody Ware decided to try to run 65 laps on a set of tires. That wasn't too smart, and apparently popped a right rear and spun with I guess then he was coming to the white flag, and that put up a green white checkered, and well, as usual, Denny Hamlin lost another race that way.
Cody Ware experiment is over. I mean, this guy, he's had 6 years. I mean, come on, put somebody else in the car.
And it wasn't a Cody Ware thing. That was a team that left him out there for 65 laps on tires that were cording at 40 laps.
And what I love, what was this classic, that last restart? Look, Kyle Larson, the 5 car is gonna go low. Like he's gonna just shove it in there, and he's gonna make a hole, and he did. I mean, Denny just let him do it. And then you hear Denny on his podcast this week lamenting, "I'll never ever let him get below me ever again. I will not let that go again." And it's just classic.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's I don't know. I mean, the fall race in Kansas last year wasn't fantastic either. So Toyotas still have got the upper hand. Kyle was okay. He was probably about the best running Chevrolet, but Toyota's definitely got the package figured out right now, and I don't know. A little concern there with Penske was somewhat out to lunch. I think Joey Logano was back in 30th, multiple laps down again. So from a Ford standpoint, pretty concerning that how poor that team is run. But in reality, I don't think Joey's run that great the last probably 3 or 4 years. It's just the old playoff system aided to him, where as soon as he got a win, then he was able to go ahead and make a charge. But yeah, um, I don't know. I'm a little concerned with the mile and a half package, and I just think it's probably the cars are just the guys are getting better attuned to the cars, and you're starting to see what always happens is the cream's going to rise to the top, and the JGRs and eventually the Hendrick and whatnot are gonna be right back up at the top, and that's the nature of racing.
Yeah, I think I brought up in the chat. I mean, should we be screaming about a winning percentage for Tyler Reddick that's like 53% or something so far this year? I mean, there's been seasons in the past where people have done this. Jeff Gordon's done it before. And I think David said like Tony Stewart in the chase one year won 8 out of 10 or something. Yeah, so there's been people in the past that have done what Tyler Reddick's pulling off this year, but it is very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's won 5 out of the first 9. No one's done it since Dale Earnhardt did it at 87. But I mean, we start breaking the wins down. I mean, let's look at it. Daytona really wasn't a dominant car; was in the right place at the right time. Atlanta, same scenario. This week at Kansas, he was, again, he was good. Don't get me wrong, but took advantage of what happened. I mean, outside of Coda, he ran really well, and then Darlington, he was a class of the field. He dominated. If it wasn't for all the car issues, he probably would have dang near led every freaking lap. Um, so look, you gotta capitalize on opportunities, and we talk about that. If you're sitting third or fourth, and like we are in iRacing and NIS, and you get the green white checkered, you know what? This is your time to go ahead and take that opportunity, and he's been very good at doing that. And at the end of the day, he's capitalized on other people's misfortunes, plain and simple.
So then Talladega, I mean, I gotta like my boy Hocevar. Maybe this is his first win.
I don't know. We'll see. They've changed the stage format's been changed. So the first stage is going to think it's going to be like 90 some laps, and then 45, 45 or something. Try to get rid of the fueling. All of the games that we're playing about saving fuel. Look, these guys are too smart. They're going to do what they got to do to eliminate the time on pit road. That's what it comes down to. You can't pass on the track, so you got to do them. You got to make as many passes as you can on pit road. So I mean, I don't know. We'll probably tear up a ton of cars. That's what we do at the super speedways now. So be millions of dollars of scrap metal laying probably all over Talladega at some point.
Well, that's what iRacing has shown us so far this week, that it's just going to be a wreck fest, right?
Made it 9 laps last night, so just uh, we'll get into that later, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. There's been 11 different winners at Talladega over the last 11 races, so this is definitely not an event that anybody's been able to double up on. So as we leave Kansas, looking at our overall points standings, we've got Dollar Cents in the lead with 2081, followed by Cletus 45, third Res Dog, fourth Redneck Racer 80, and then fifth is Canadrian. And Mr. Westbrook, welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome. All right, hardware, software. Don't forget Chad McNeese's Ultimate Hardware Spreadsheet is going to be at the top of every script hardware software section. It's a Google document where it's literally a list of every piece of sim equipment available for sale, all organized in tabs and sorted by price. And it is an amazing resource if you're buying anything sim racing related. So check it out. All right, William, you got the first one. More than meets the eye.
Can't hear you. All right, so we got a Instagram post here from Conspit. Looks like I'm guessing it's a sequential shifter, is my guess. That's all we got. We don't have really anything else other than that.
A tease.
Um, it's a tease, so I don't think they had a sequential shifter yet, but I'm guessing that's probably what it is.
What's with the little lever thing though that kind of sticks off the side of it?
I think that's to put into reverse or something. I don't know. I've seen it on some of the other. The Moses got one like that. I think. Um, Maybe that's what it's for.
Yeah, some kind of release. Yeah, to drop it into reverse. Yeah. All right, Conspit continues to drop teasers.
Alrighty, I should be here now. Thank you.
There you are.
Hey, there he is.
Windows likes to randomly change my sound inputs for no
Oh
reason.
yeah, that's regular
If
business these days.
if you had an update, it's gonna happen. So Teflon sliders. This is Sims by iRacers. So we talked about this quite a bit. We talked about this a lot when we got back from the expo last year. But this is a video showing off their sliders on their seat adjustment and the pedal tray adjustment. So this is freaking fantastic. If I had a rig where I knew I wanted different people to want to get in and out and try stuff, these things are so cool. And to be able to see them in person, um, so cool compared to your typical, seat slider and stuff like that. I mean, I think Mike, we talked about these all weekend last year.
Look, there's no flex. I mean, a regular seat slider has just a little bit of flex in it, in my opinion, but this doesn't. I mean, it's so handy, like you said. Especially if you, like you said, if it's a commercial environment, you have short people, tall people, switch it in and out. Man, this is the way to go for sure.
All right, Mike, we got happy haptics.
Happy Hactics. This is a show off of a seat, the Sensi haptic seat, and it's all in Spanish, so I can't really read it very well. But the video kind of shows off uh, the the seat, where the different uh, cones are. I guess they're not cones, but transducers. It also shows off the software, which I thought was real interesting. It has a little test tab where you can hit test on each one and kind of feel where it hits. Uh, looks pretty cool. I don't know. I'm not sold yet on having haptics built into the seat. I just think that there's got to be a compromise for comfort. There's just no way it's less, it's more comfortable than what I have.
Yeah, I don't know, but if you watch the video, I don't understand anything he's saying, but he's pretty happy every time it vibrates. So it's a bit odd.
Yeah, I didn't get any of it, but he seems to like it. I mean, I think it could be good. I would not ever gonna change from the ones mounted in my rig, but um, I don't know. We need to get somebody to try it, and or maybe it'll be at one of the expos we go to.
Haptics are good, and they do make a huge difference, but I don't know if that's the right way to do it. I like how I'm doing it, where it's bolted to the bottom of the seat, still using the original cushion. It's still fully thick, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not compromising comfort. All right, William, how about this? Looks like a motor. Wow, computer.
Yeah, another one of these computers built to look like an engine. This one's by Liquid House. They have an Instagram account. They do a lot of liquid cooled PCs, if that's your thing. I really like them, and mine was liquid cooled for a while. I like the designs and how they look. This one is just designed to kind of look like a semi like a V8 engine, and they did it for a display at Long Beach over the weekend for the Grand Prix and the IMSA race. It looks pretty cool using Cooler Master stuff. Those fans are new by Cooler Master. Apparently, they are metal, which is not something you really see in PC cooling fans anymore. So that'll be interesting to see how they perform. But yeah, cool looking build there.
So the Corsair fans, they got this like flare on them, like that sticks up. You said it's metal, I think, but is that a custom piece, or that's how the Corsair fan actually comes?
Yeah, so the thing on the top is going to be a custom piece built by
I
Liquid
see.
House. The fan themselves is the metal part.
I get it. So they probably have 3D printed pieces or something they're putting on
Yeah, it
the
looks to be
outside of
3D
it.
printed or plastic or injection molded or something. Yeah.
Dust, 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 dust. That's all I can say.
Well, don't be so dirty.
There's no way to avoid it with this.
It's a good point. I mean, and dust is such a problem here in Arizona. And my computer that I built is fully enclosed. It has so many fans. It's got a good air pressure, like a negative air pressure, whatever. And the dust just doesn't get in it. Now the dust does get on the outside of it, but when I open it up, it's pretty minimal.
All right, so we brought this one back. We've this got thrown up in I think in the chat. This is the Simpson direct drive base. We talked about this, I guess, about 10 weeks ago. We didn't have a whole lot of information, but we do have a link here to the web page that has a little bit more information in regarding their direct drive base. Um, look, we talked before direct drive bases. I think they're all getting pretty good. Um, you know, they've gone with a modular design with the wheels and stuff as far as the steering wheel to where you can do uh, different wheels and whatnot. But yeah, Simpson, I don't know, just first of all, the wheel's just ugly. It's just aesthetically, it's not attractive at all. It's got way too many buttons in odd places. But I don't know. I don't know. I need to see some reviews before I would strongly suggest this to any of our listeners.
Yeah, the wheel is too tall. It's quite ugly. You scroll down, the buy button's currently grayed out, so obviously it hadn't been released yet. And all the way on the bottom, it says these images are rendered, so these aren't actual product images yet. So we'll see how it comes out. I mean, Simpson for their pedals, what they do, I mean, yeah, they're ripoffs of whatever, but they perform decently well from everything I've heard. Maybe their base will be good on a budget like that, but yeah, I won't be going anywhere near it.
Yeah, look, I have a Simpson clutch right now on my rig, and when I bought their pedals, 3 pedals with the base, $400 shipped off Amazon. I'm impressed with the value that those pedals presented. They were basically Heiskin belts. I mean, on paper, but
Well, they're knockoffs.
They're knockoffs
Much
of they're the same
yes.
design, is what I mean. Is if you look at them
Yes,
side by
they're
side, they're the same thing.
designed. Yes, mechanically they're designed similar, built quality wise completely different.
The other thing is, we just talked about the PXN wheelbase, and this looks awfully like that, except for the LED strips. I mean, that's, I mean, other than that, it's the same thing, you know. And so you speculated, Brad, in the chat, these are probably coming out of the same warehouse, out of the same manufacturing plant in China, probably.
That's my guess. There's probably about two or three of these different makers all coming out of the same place, and they're changing the faceplate, changing this, changing that, but it's probably all the same stuff. I hate to say that, but it's it's like going and buying the Timu rig. I wouldn't suggest it. But again, we'll wait till we actually get some reviews. If we get them, that's the thing I'm kind of curious about. See what we actually get review wise.
All right, I got this one. So I went down this rabbit hole of finding out about cool suits or cool shirts. Because if it's good enough for Tony Stewart, it's good enough for me. And so I'm on the hunt for a cool shirt system. Now, what I found is there's a couple flavors out there. There's the kind where you get ice packs out of your freezer in your kitchen and insert them into your into your suit. Okay, and those are like the cheaper version. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with ice and all that. Then there's the actual race driver version, like Tony probably has, that you use it as a real race car driver in a real race car, and it consists of a shirt that has a tube that basically is wound throughout the shirt. It comes out with a couple of connections that plug into a system that generates fluid or pushes fluid or pumps fluid through those hoses that keep you cool. And so I did find ogracing.com website where they have different products available for this, including the cool shirt with the tubing in it at $180. And then there's the pump cooling system with 13 quart size for $797. And then they have a few other things here like a mount and some other adapters and stuff you may need. So it looks like they have everything you need to actually pull this off, but it's not cheap, guys, is what I found.
And you see what I put the title of this topic as, right?
I missed that. Oh, just by a fan. Okay.
Just buy a fan. Just- come on, Mike. We don't need a cool suit. Just buy a fan. That's all you need is a fan. I will even admit, put a WinSim in. I would suggest you put a WinSim in before you go buy a cool suit. Okay, before you spend $1,000 to get the pump in the cool suit, install a WinSim. I'll give my thumbs up to that. But we don't need cool shirts.
Yeah, maybe a WinSim. But I think I will actually contact Tony Stewart and ask him, what are you using for your cool suit? I just want to know. All right, how about William the Sim Risho? I can't say it right. Sim Risho big button box.
Can't hear you.
Okay, that was on me. This is a very quick video by the Sim Circuit. Simrushu button box, $129, and it has 44 buttons. Well, it says inputs, so maybe not buttons, but different ways to manipulate the controls. Be honest, guys, it's not something I'm interested in, so I only skimmed the video. Any thoughts, quality, anything like that?
I don't know. I kind of like the bright colors. I'm drawn to the stuff like this. You know, for only $129, you can have a button box that's 80% there. I mean, he does go over some problems with it where there's a little LED bleed through on a couple of the buttons from one to the other, and The joystick was a little weird. Yeah, there were a couple little things, but what do you want for 130 bucks?
Yeah, I mean, $130 is it's $130. I paid a lot more than that for my ignition controls button box, trust me. But I could probably drop this off the roof and it would probably still be good because it's solid metal. But yeah, no, I mean, it's again, it's a little too bright for me. I want something a little more subdued. I know that you can control the LEDs and stuff like that. I hope to goodness that you can tone down you can reduce the intensity because that would be a little too bright for me. Um,
A little big.
again, uh, yeah, it's probably I don't know. It's not. It's maybe just a little bit bigger, Mike, than the ignition controls. Doesn't look like it's a whole lot bigger. Um, but he did say some quality control. What he got is a pre-production model, but it has some loose washers and, like you said, the joystick. There's no sleep mode, so the LEDs stay on even when the PC's off. That's a concern. If there's not an on-off switch, that's a problem. I have an on, Mike. There's an on-off switch on the ignition
Which I
controls. So
love.
yes, so do I. The idea of leaving that thing on all the time would be maddening. And then the one-way toggles says toggle switches only send a single input, meaning they can't be used as an on-off state. So if you flip it up for the pit limiter on, and then of course it's down for off. So it's not a momentary switch. It's strictly an on or an off.
All right, quick hit here. Micro Center touting the new AMD Ryzen 9 9950X3D2 chip is now available at Micro Center. Look, I don't know anybody building a computer right now, and I can't imagine how expensive it could be in 2026 buying RAM and hard drives and chips. But I don't know if you were building a computer today, would this be the chip you pick? I don't know. Perhaps.
This chip's gonna be a bit expensive just for your average iRacer, somebody who plays the game. This is top of the line. But speaking of cost of stuff, Micro Center's had some really good deals lately. If somebody's looking for something, they had a 9800 X3D with a motherboard and some RAM for, I think, a case for like $1,000 as part of their bundles. Now, this is not every store is going to have it, so check your local one. But if you're looking, they've had some good deals lately.
Yeah, they had some stuff the end of last year that I came close to pulling the trigger on just to stick it back in the to have it. My plan is to try to do an upgrade at the end of this year to go into 27. So as we start to get a little bit further in the year, I'm definitely gonna start looking for bundles. If I just need to start piece buying stuff along the way, I probably will.
Okay, Brad, how about It Feels Real from OC Racing?
Yeah, I've got OC Racing's reviewing the Pimax Crystal Super Ultra Wide. So this is the high-end VR headset designed to push the boundaries of sim racing immersion. So resolution, this says 3840 by 3840 per eye, which gives you about 140 degrees of an ultra wide 140 degrees of FOV. It's got a refresh rate of 90 hertz, which he says he found to be sufficient, though lower than some might expect at this price. So price point's 1,800 bucks, not cheap, not as high as the Apple Vision Pro that Mike has desperately set his heart upon. But as far as an in-car presence, the strength of the headset really is the sense of speed and the natural depth perception. So again, with a much wider field of view, it improves your peripheral vision. He says, well, there are some black bars that are still present, and it feels like looking through a real helmet visor. That's kind of interesting to think about. I mean, if you've ever actually put a helmet on, you do lose some of your peripheral vision. So the clarity was really good. It's impressively sharp. So fine details like brake markers and then even the interior button labels were clearly legible. Some of the drawbacks from a hardware and a performance standpoint. Build quality, a little concerned at 1,800 bucks. Was kind of disappointed that it had by the cheap feeling plastic and the underwhelming quality of the included controllers. Ergonomics, major issue for sim racers is the rear cable and adjustment knob, which can hit the back of the racing seat. that would be a problem. So, depending on how you sit in your seat, last thing you
This
want is
one,
to have a knob
this
or
one was a big one for me, Brad. On is when I saw how the cable was hitting the back of his seat, I was thinking, and it almost looked like he, he had his head kind of jilted forward just because of that. Uh, this is a hard no just because of that item alone for me.
yeah. I mean, again, it's ergonomics. You got to be comfortable when you're racing. They did say the spherical lenses, have kind of a narrow sweet spot, so moving your eyes away from the center results in notable blurriness. That would bother me probably quite a bit. And then system requirements. He said even with the high-end RTX 4090 Ti, he had to make a lot of graphical compromises in a set of Corsa to maintain a consistent 80 to 90 frames per second. So that is a concern as well. So he says it does offer a tremendous on-track experience that monitors really can't replicate. But again, due to the high price, the demanding system requirements, and then the mediocre build quality, he said it would be difficult to recommend this product unless immersion and FOV are your absolute highest priority. So, I mean, look, we continue to see different stuff come out on the VR side. Pimax, has released some other stuff. I think David's got a Pimax. Um, but yeah, it's just I don't know. VR is just not for me. Has absolutely no draw for me whatsoever.
All right. In the interest of time, let's skip ahead to do one more, William. This Heiskenfeld button box update.
Yeah, so they put an Instagram post out with an update about the button box we've talked about quite extensively. I didn't know they were still iterating on it. Apparently they are. They said new for April 2026. They've refined the housing with a cleaner look and slimmer bezels. They increased the screen size. The full body is now aluminum for a more premium feel. They enhanced some of the LED visibility and the viewing angles, and scheduling a release for late spring, approximately 300 euros. I know we had discussed the price point when we talked about it earlier, but they have confirmed 300 euros.
It
I think
looks
they made it
good.
look even better. It looks really good, and I don't like that it looks good because you know what that means.
I know. We were talking in Discord, like this has got me thinking, like, would I swap out my button box for this? Is this an upgrade? It almost feels like it is. And the reason is, Brad, is you got these knobs in the middle, like traction control, ABS, and it has a 7. And as you turn the knob, it switches to 8 and 9. And so you get real time, you know what the amount is that you're switching. And I love that visual feedback of what, the particular thing is like ABS.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing with a regular button box, it's positional. So I'll give you an example. So like Talladega this week, I know when I need to come in to pit stops, I've got to add some front brake bias to the car. So, but what I want to do is I want to take it back out after the pit stop. So I'm starting at nowhere at 90, at 12 o'clock, and then I'm going to turn in whatever I need to turn in. But I know that when I get done, I've got to take it back 12 o'clock. Well, it would be nice if it was just a number. So if I'm starting with one, I go to 10, then I go back to one or whatever it is. To me, that would be nice. I do like the dash integration. I do like the way this looks. With it being aluminum. We talked about originally, it looked like it was almost 3D printed. It's kind of a little bit offsetting for me, just from an aesthetics standpoint. I'm okay with 3D printed stuff on some things, but it's like when I bought my digital dash. I didn't want a 3D printed digital dash. I wanted aluminum. I wanted to look nice. With this being aluminum, yeah, it looks real nice. So um, stop it. I don't want to keep seeing things like this.
Spend Brad's money. Look, when the original version that looked like you said plasticky, 3D printed almost, to this version that's full metal body, that changes a no to a yes for me. I mean, because it now looks like it's worthy to be on my rig, kind of thing. And yeah, I'm definitely on the fence for it. Look, there's nothing wrong with the old fashioned kind of metal ignition controls box like I got, but it doesn't have the little screen feedback thing, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yep. So they're going to be at the Sim Racing Expo in Charlotte, so I anticipate being able to put my hands on it, and that's probably not a good thing. But the wife will be with me, so maybe she'll buy it.
Yeah, maybe she'll like it. Okay. Let's jump to results and talk NASCAR iRacing Series Friday Open at Kansas. David Hall, P14, bad racing all night, no long runs. Last run, a car wrecks a lap car right in front of me. Tony Rochette, P22, just hanging out in the top 10 all race, but 30 to go on fresh tires. Took the middle in two and self spun into the inside wall, ending my night. Brad, P13.
Yeah, so better than Wednesday. I think Wednesday was the 17th. Got a P13. Um, really just an ill-time yellow, right in the middle of green flag stop. So we had a run about 50, 58 laps or so, and I'm debating. Chris and I are in the same race, and I'm debating. We're debating: do we just run it out, run the fuel out, and pit? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to split it in half. When you know it, literally, I pit, and right as I'm getting ready to come off pit road, we get a yellow. So go lap down. That would probably cost me a top 10 finish. So racing was better. We did have quite a few long runs, but that yellow coming out just killed the race. Got back, ended up having to take the wave around, but that had me restarting way back in the 20s. Just made getting back to the front hard. We did have a late race restart. I think I got up to about 10th or so, and the car that was ahead of me, he got really high coming through one and two, and ended up having to. He jumped out of the throttle to keep it out of the wall. Well, of course, he pulled down right in front of me, coming off a two, and I had to check up to. I didn't want to run into him, and that allowed the cars that were behind us to catch us, and I ended up losing a few spots as we were coming to the checkered. But yeah, just a frustrating week, really. Really good car. Wednesday got caught up and got wrecked, but yeah, I mean, I'll look forward to getting back to Kansas later in the year and hopefully definitely do better than a 13th and a 17th.
All right, Sunday Open, Kansas, Tony Rochette, P10, self spun early in the same damn spot. Just a minute and a half damage, went lap down, getting it fixed. Got the lap back halfway through via wave around. Huge wreck in front of me on that restart, giving me some more damage, but enough to stay on the lead lap. Final restart with 10 to go, went from 16th to 10th. I will take it. Greg Hectus, P36. Ouch. Moving on to Wednesday Open at Talladega. Chris Waldron, P17, was seventh when a lap car tried to block all three lines of the pack. We stocked up and wrecked. They got the lucky dog, Savage, to P17. David Hall, P13, ran top eight all race. Got hit when a car spins exiting the pits. As a result, lose the lead pack. The shit luck continues. Brad, P32.
Yeah, wrecked 9 laps in. So Stephen Llewellyn was in this race or was watching. David and I were here together. David was started on the pole. I think I started about, I don't know, 12th or 13th or something. And you just can't go anywhere. Super frustrating. You just kind of stuck. But we had one guy that was up front. I think he was probably about third or fourth. That was just being way over aggressive, and even Steven called him out. It's like, this guy's going to cause an issue. Well, 9 laps in, he did. So yeah, I think out of 36 cars, I think there was 15 of them involved in the wreck. So I ended up with about 7 minutes of damage. Sat and got 5 minutes of it fixed and went 3 laps down and jumped back out on the track. And the steering wheel was at 10 o'clock. And then as soon as I hit the corner, I had to put about, oh, I don't know, probably about 3/4 of a turn in it to get it fixed, to get the car to turn. Still confused on why iRacing doesn't fix suspension first. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I know they gave us an order repair, but I don't think it's right. My hood was definitely fixed before the suspension was fixed, but yeah, I'm not sure if I've mentioned or not that I hate drafting tracks, but I definitely hate drafting tracks.
Tyler Williamson, P12. 8X could not get through the pack. It was low line only. Wreckfest at the end. Joe Owen, P7, was second off four and had a run on the leader, and he drifted high, and I went in the hole, and he wrecked both of us. I had 0x until he wrecked us. Then he found me on the cool down lap, and he hit me again, giving me 8x. Now I had to cut off the rest of what Joe put down here because it wasn't appropriate for the podcast. But yeah, he was not happy. All right. Thursday Open, I ran and got a DNF right at the end. I couldn't, and my problem with this race is I couldn't stop the dang car. I'd go into the pit stop for the first pit stop under yellow, and I slid through my box, like way slid through my box. I have no idea. Like I'm pushing the brake, the car ain't stopping. So then we have a green flag stop. I come to go on pit road, and I spin that thing out getting on pit road, get circle it and all that. And luckily, Akasha came out and saved me. But um, yeah, I can't stop that car for some reason. I don't know if it's my
You you
pedals.
you got to move the brake bias forward, and you just got to keep it straight. That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah, I'm not touching the bias, so maybe that's my problem. Um, anyway, I ended up with a penalty. I had to do a 15-second hold under green. Uh, I lost a lap. I eventually got the lucky dog, and then I got in another wreck because I was kind of back in the pack. And then I tried to just limp it home from there. I was looking at maybe a top 15, top 10, but on a green white checker, some guy hesitated on a stack up and ended up wrecking the field. And he was able to drive away, even though everyone behind him was destroyed. But yeah, I wasn't able to finish. Chris Waldron, he ran and got a P7. He was third on the green white checker. He got wrecked when he was getting pushed by the fourth with no place to go. Badly damaged. I stayed out and could still draft. Went P12 to P7. I ran an A fixed on Tuesday night, I believe it was. DNF. It was a pretty high split, and one car switches lanes. He goes up and uh, comes back down. I'm barely there. I barely touch him. He wrecks the entire field, and not pretty. Ringmeister. It was the Kia Optima. I started on first and wrecked out on my own while leading the race. That's super frustrating. Then it started first and led every lap. Had a guy chasing me, but I gapped him slowly. Eventually, a 6 second gap, and winner, winner, chicken dinner. I went on to win on the first night of the week, and it was career win number 143 in the Kia Optima, one of the worst driving cars on iRacing. Front wheel drive, guys. Then I tried it again, tried to do two in a row. Started first, fell to third. It was top split, but then I heard it hit a curb wrong and spun it DNF. Grassroots Racing, William. Imola P10.
Yeah, it rained. And while I've gotten to where I don't mind racing in the rain, I actually enjoy it a lot of times. Something about this was just awful. It just didn't feel good. I spun in quali. It made me reset to the pits, so only my first lap counted. Started P15. The train was just agonizingly slow. I couldn't get through. I was scared to make a move because I didn't want to murder somebody. I ended up murdering somebody anyway. So, yeah, whatever. Started to climb a bit, but then just pushing, I self spun twice and kind of ended my night in P10. Wasn't great.
Brad P8.
Yes, it rained. Track was drivable, but the spray was really bad. Really bad early on. I just made too many errors. Caused myself multiple lost positions. I just as soon as I started to feel more comfortable in the wet, I would try to push it a little bit further and a little bit further, and I would end up spinning. So, the track wetness I think was like 50 to 67% to me is kind of like the sweet spot for racing. Anything higher than that's kind of miserable. Some of the practice sessions I've jumped into throughout the week have been like up in the 80s, and it's like freaking driving in a pool. So yeah, it wasn't fantastic, Will, but it was okay. But I could have I don't know. Could have probably just given a little bit more less aggression by me. So
All right, and then Elbows Out Racing League P6.
Yeah, Imola again, but in dry instead of wet. And man, have I been my own worst enemy in iRacing lately. In the dry, I have serious pace in this track. I actually really, really like racing here. I loaded into practice, was 8 tenths off. I guess oh, I was a little worried. But I guess it was just temperature difference, or maybe they were running quali sets because once it was qualifying, I stuck it on the pole. Got a great start. Had almost a 1 second lead by the time we went to the downhill double right-hander. I was thinking just be smooth, and I walk away with this win, and then I just wasn't smooth about anything. I did everything you could do wrong in that turn. I broke too late, missed my downshift, too late on the brakes, went off the track. Somehow I didn't hit anything, but by the time I could get back on the track, I was in ninth. After that, it was real hard to try to get back to the field with traffic and everything, and there was some really atrocious driving by some of the AM and lapped GT3 cars. Just twice I had to take evasive action because they were doing 10 miles an hour on the racing line in the apex of a corner. So it was really rough to get going. Got back up to sixth after the pit, but by the time I was in sixth, I was like 12 seconds or so behind fifth, and that's all I could recover. I feel like my driving over the past few months, as far as my overall skill level, I thought I was really seeing an improvement and getting really better, but man, I've got to stop making these mistakes or it's just not going to get any better.
All right, then we have the Mech 4-hour P20.
Yeah, Brad, you want this first or me?
you can go ahead and start.
So if I'm not sabotaging my race, my internet or something else is. I wrote in the script I didn't want to talk about this, and then wrote a paragraph. But listen, we should have won this race, or should have, could have, whatever. We did everything right. Me and Will were two of the fastest people all week in practice and pre-qual. Will and Brad did the first two stints. They had fantastic stints. Brad took it into the pit in P3 to turn it over to me. I mean, we were P3, but a couple seconds behind the leader. And that's where it all unraveled. We got boned by a safety car that came out as soon as I was exiting the pit for the driver change. That trapped us 11th or 12th when they came into the pit in third. And it helped people who were off cycle come in and pit and be able to reset their strategy and line up perfectly for the end of the race. They were going to have to make an extra stop. And then with the safety car, they just didn't have to. So they got extremely lucky while it killed us. So I'm a few laps into my stint, picking off spots. I think I made it up to eighth or ninth or something like that. And everybody binks twice and then disappears. And it was clearly something with my internet. It's not like when Brad has disappeared before and it's just iRacing and Discord's fine. Discord died. I grabbed my phone to try to text the guys on Discord to let them know what was going on, and I don't even have servers on my cell phone, so I have no
Or
idea what
until
happened. It was
7 p.m.
Sunspot or me. I don't know, but it was awful. It killed what should have been a fantastic run. Will got back in the car, but by that time we were two laps down, and our day was pretty much done. So that was extremely crushing. Just to add it to the struggles I've had on iRacing lately.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'd gone. I think the wife had gotten home, so I was like, I'm gonna run upstairs and get a sandwich and eat lunch with her. And then I was like, you know what? Let me go back downstairs and I'll eat my sandwich while the guys finish out. And I'm like, we're in the pits, and I'm like, wow, what the heck? And then that's when I found out what happened. So, yeah, we just can't. Bad luck. I mean, just if it can go wrong, it's freaking gone wrong. We've had pace, every race. We went into this one with the mindset of how we were going to run it, and it was playing out perfectly until we ended up with that safety car, that safety car. And from that point on, I was like, "Yep, well, we're not going to win this." But it happens. Called a, I don't know. It was the $5 part that broke. It's what it is. But yeah, one of these days, we just got too much pace. We just got to get the bad luck behind us.
All right, other racing I ran. Pickup Cup at Phoenix. DNF is running in the lead pack, lead group, I should say. There were a couple of rookies up ahead were wrecking and this and that. They basically, both of them wrecked each other, then did a unsafe rejoin, both of them, and wrecked out the leaders. It was pretty ugly. But we were looking at the replays on the live TikTok stream, and I just called up. I didn't do a protest, even though it was certainly protestable. But I did call them out over the radio and say, "Hey, dudes, this is not how you do it." And at least, you know, Dad, tell them, a voice of reason from above. Perhaps maybe they'll think twice about doing that. But I cut him a break. All right, with that, let's jump to final thoughts. Brad Rip.
Uh, so got to next 2 weeks are going to be hit and miss. I won't get much racing in next week. I've got to travel to Williams neck of the woods to Atlanta for work for a couple days. So, and then the
Oh,
wife and
really now?
I, yeah. So and then after that, wife and I leave for Jamaica for a week. So I'm sad that I'm gonna miss some racing, but at the same time, I'm kind of looking forward to being forced to take a break, if that makes sense, and actually be removed from it completely. So I know that kind of doesn't probably make a whole lot of sense, but in my head, it does right now. So I think I probably need a little break. So yeah, looking forward to that. So we'll have a show next week, but we will skip the first week in May. Mike and I are both out of town, so we're going to skip that week. So just because neither one of us are going to be really able to do much show wise, we're both traveling. So um, yeah, Talladega. I hate it with a passion, but I'll do one more tomorrow night and probably walk away just as frustrated as I was last night. So yeah, there you go.
All right, William Westbrook. Final thought.
Oh yeah, work kept me late today, so I kind of joined in the middle. So I don't really have too many thoughts. Just trying to get here. I'm about to go do a DTM race, so I'll report back next week somehow. Otherwise, I found a way to kill my race, I'm sure.
ETM. Okay, sounds like fun. My final thoughts. Loving the Ring Meister series. Look, when I can walk in there on a Monday night, the first day of the week, the first day of that car that is picked for the week, and win it within one or two or three starts, man, I'm hitting on all cylinders. It just feels so good to do that. And I've done it two weeks in a row now where I've won on the first night. And so now I'm going to try it again on the next Monday night. So it's like a challenge now. Can I win in a fresh car each week at this track? And just loving it, just having a good time. And I am practicing, believe it or not, a little bit on Sunday with that particular car at the ring. In a test session, I just do two or three laps basically, just to kind of get used to it. Make sure I got the force feedback right. The pedals are right. But liking it, not really liking NASCAR, but not running a lot of NASCAR either. So the other thing is, I ran the Audi GTO 90, one of my favorite cars, at the Mount Washington hill climb, and I tried to teach myself how to run it without the auto blip on, where I do the manual clutch. I couldn't do it, folks. I can't shift that freaking car. And so, if there's a listener out there that can give me a guide or a how-to or maybe a video I need to watch or something on how do I learn how to shift this car effectively, because I can't get it into gear. I'm grinding gears. I shift it. It stays in neutral. All the above. I can't figure it out. So I really want to, but I just don't know how. I think it's over my head. So I need a professional help. And with that, hey, we'll see you on the track later. Okay, title ideas. We have two.